About 60% of Washington is privately owned, and a lot of the streams in Washington and the US are degraded or impacted in some way. And so if we're going to actually restore things or rehabilitate natural areas, it's not going to be just up to one person or one group. It takes the collaborative effort of all landowners, all agencies, and local conservation districts, cities, municipalities, everybody.
As a partnership program, we really strive to work with conservation-minded producers, farmers, and landowners for the common cause of conservation to figure out what their best options are.
Part of my role is to actually work with private landowners to help them improve wildlife habitat on their property. Keep, maintain, and perpetuate game populations, non-game populations. And generally in doing so, that means controlling noxious weeds. It means looking at areas that are sensitive, that are eroding, trying to get trees and shrubs established, and it all ties back into water quality. There is this huge opportunity right now that through this Resource Conservation Partnership Program, and that we have all of these different entities on board and partners that are involved in trying to do good things in a concentrated area.
I've had a lot of experience working with a diversity of agencies and landowners as well. And my career path has been trying to bridge that gap between private landowners and public agencies and to basically make conservation more efficient and effective.
We try to reach out into multiple different pots and bring people together to do these collaborative efforts to really make a good project even better.
Banks do erode in streams. That's part of the natural process. But with land use changes, they're eroding faster, they're eroding quicker. And so what we're seeing is even just right here that we've been able to slow that process and give time for riparian vegetation to reestablish. All these plantings you did look like they're doing awesome right now. And then with the in-stream structures that are focused more on fish habitat, we have seen an increase in juvenile steelhead abundance and survival. In Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, where we've done these types of projects, we've also increased riparian growth for the benefit of juvenile sage grouse, which are an endangered species. So this is not just about fish, this is not just about water quality, this is about ecosystem level restoration.
Just this year, we've implemented a huge buffer project where we're putting in over 5 miles of continuous forest riparian buffers on a stream on the Palouse. And so what is that going to do for water quality? It's going to do a ton. So we're talking about 70-foot buffer that's going to be protecting the stream. It's going to be forested. It's going to be there for the next 15 years. We understand the value of buffers, not just for water quality, but for wildlife. You know, corridors, nesting. It provides excellent winter habitat.
After the Palouse Conservation District does restoration projects and bank enhancement, we'll come back in a couple years and do another assessment. And that way we can monitor the stream quality over time, which benefits not only the private landowners, the public in general, and public agencies, as well as the universities.
The ultimate goal of our program is to increase water quality throughout the Palouse watershed because it has been so degraded for so long. By measuring these changes in water quality parameters or soil health parameters or habitat parameters over the length of the project, we're hoping that we'll be able to see positive changes. We couldn't do what we're doing now without all the help that we get from private landowners giving us access, working with us to improve their little piece of the world. They've seen changes happen the last 30 years, for better or worse, and I think once they work with us and see the work that we can accomplish, they are pretty happy with the positive changes that we bring.
Typically when we're on these sites, these private landowner sites, we're either installing native plants, shrubs and trees, or we're doing maintenance around an already established planting, so just getting those invasive weeds out of there. The projects I work on wouldn't be possible without volunteers, and you can't really find volunteers without having partnerships. We work really closely with the CCE, the Center for Civic Engagement at WSU, at other universities too, at the University of Idaho. They have the Sustainability Center, and we work closely with them. We do between 1 and 2 projects, really big projects a year, and get a lot of volunteers that way.
The landowners out here in the Palouse recognize that the vital resources out here, the soil, the water and the riparian areas need to be concerned, need to be addressed. And certainly there's a movement here for conservation like I've never seen before. Certainly the no-till or the residue management practices are spreading.
Direct seeding is farming in a 1 or 2 pass system without disturbing the soil prior to seeding. Direct seeding basically solves the problem of soil erosion. The root cause of water quality is sedimentation delivery, soil erosion, and any chemicals that happen to be attached to that soil that erode down into the waterways. PNDSA, as a nonprofit, relies on partnerships and can do so much more than we could on our own without them. My family adopted no-till direct seeding practices in the early 90s, making that transition. 15, 16 years later, they have an amazing soil health. They have zero erosion. They have more acres that they can farm with less equipment and less time. One of the things that we can help as a partner of the RCPP is to help streamline the process and make it a user-friendly process for the farmers. One of the really great things about our direct seed members is they are open and they want people to make the leap and make the transition. And so they're very willing to share their successes and their failures. And I just really appreciate that about our farmers that we have as members.
Once one neighbor gets a great project, the other neighbor wants that great project. Now it's getting really progressive because people are starting to understand the power of partnerships. They're starting to understand the power of conservation and starting to understand what it's going to mean for their bottom line and for future generations.
When we're talking about this kind of work that goes between federal agencies down to state agencies and local landowners, these types of accessible projects go a long way and affect more than just water for our benefit, not just water quality for us to drink or whatever. The impacts affect fish, wildlife, plants, butterflies, everything that you can think of that live in these corridors.
The landowners in the area, they can get on board with simply coming into our office or the Conservation District's office and really asking about the new programs that RCPP has to offer. I think it has the greatest potential with, again, attracting the conservation-minded producer, farmer, and landowner in the area. The biggest success story out here in the Palouse is the collaboration of all the different agencies, all the different partners and professionals, all the different producers that have that conservation-minded attitude, that live that life of stewardship, working together for that common cause of getting conservation on the ground and improving the land, allowing them to be more profitable yet productive in the long run.